Hey guys, today we'll have a look at an older camera released all the way back in February of 2011 when I was still in high school. If that makes you feel old, I'm really sorry. So the camera in question is the Canon EOS 600D, also known as Rebel T3i or EOS Kiss X5. Even at the time, this camera was entry level, so what possible use could it have in 2022 and beyond? Let's delve a bit deeper into its specs, as you might be surprised. As you might expect, the camera isn't particularly large, weighing in at 570 grams or 20.11 ounces. The body measurements are 133 by 100 by 80 millimeters. This isn't going to be a particularly large camera even for a newcomer, which might actually make it ideal. I love carrying my R5 with its beefy RF lenses around, but if you're just getting started, something like the 600D plus an 18 to 55mm kit lens might be bulky enough. Now, let's talk about image quality. As it is to be expected from an 11-year-old entry-level camera, it does not have any built-in image stabilization. You can pop an 18 to 55mm IS kit lens on it, and that will give you some, though there isn't any communication between the lens and body like in the case of the R5. By the way, if you want to learn more about the 18 to 55mm kit lens, I've reviewed it on my channel. You can either click on the card in the top right or check out the link down below. When it comes to images, as you might expect of an 18-megapixel APS-C sensor, detail and resolution are both quite good, producing quality RAW files that take up to about 20 megabytes each. No matter whether you're a beginner or a pro, shooting in RAW is one of the best things you can do for your photography. Not only do you capture more detail this way, but you also have more leeway when it comes to adjusting exposure in post-production. If you're worried about focus, this camera has contrast detection and phase detection autofocus systems. Unfortunately, the camera does not have dual pixel autofocus, which wasn't introduced until 2013. The AF system has 9 focus points, where one of them is cross-type. Cross-type sensors lock focus faster and more accurately, at least compared to single-type sensors. The Canon 600D also features intelligent face detection AF, where it detects faces in the frame and locks the focus automatically. This feature only seems to be available in live view mode, though I could be wrong about this. If you know one way or another, let us know in the comments. Here are some photos I took with the Canon EOS 600D. By the way, if you're finding this video to be helpful, don't forget to leave a like, as it'll help with the algorithm, and other people will be able to find this video as well. And now, back to the video. As many other entry-level cameras, the 600D gives you the option of creative filters. Personally, I would not bother with those. Whatever the camera can do, you can do in Lightroom or Photoshop, whilst retaining a clean RAW file to work with and having way more flexibility. Plus, you'll learn a lot more by manipulating your images that way, as opposed to allowing the camera to slap a filter on it and call it a day. The T3i is equipped with a swivel screen. Not only does this make it easier to shoot at odd angles, but when the camera is not in use, you can flip the screen around, thus protecting the screen from scratches or impacts. The screen is not touch sensitive though, which is to be expected. In terms of quality, the screen itself is nothing spectacular, especially by modern standards, but it can show you photos that you've taken, it allows you to navigate the menus, and it allows you to see yourself whilst filming. I'm pretty sure that's all that the screen is needed for, so as far as I'm concerned, it ticks all the boxes. To those who have used Canon cameras before, the button layout will be familiar. You have a menu, an info button in the top left corner next to the viewfinder, a mode dial that can select shooting modes on the top right, and so on. Nothing particularly revolutionary here. If you're a newcomer, I'd recommend having a quick look through the manual to learn what each button does. If you have vloggy aspirations, you have a port where you can connect a microphone to the camera like a Rode VideoMic Pro for example, but you do not have a headphone port. Speaking of vlogging, would I recommend this camera for it? Not really, unless you sit down for your videos. Given that the camera does not have a dual pixel AF, focusing whilst on the move might be tricky. We have indeed been spoiled by better and better autofocusing systems, so it might just be the fact that I'm fussier about autofocus than most, but if you're going to spend the money, get something like the Canon 600D, which does have dual pixel AF. When it comes to storage, the EOS 600D has only one SD card slot, which is to be expected. If you want to use this camera to start photographing events, you're taking a bit of a risk, as if the SD card fails, you have no backup. For events or professional jobs in general, it's usually recommended that you use a camera with 2 card slots, like the Canon 7D Mark II for example, which I've also reviewed on my channel. I understand that the 600D is an entry-level camera, and most people wouldn't consider using it for professional use, but I've done professional corporate headshots with a Nikon D3200. At the end of the session, I'd rushed to my laptop and copied the files off the SD card, just in case. We all have to start somewhere. When it comes to battery life, it's not really impressive. A new battery could give you around 440 shots, and that's assuming that the battery itself is new, which if it's an original one, it probably won't be. Having a few is always a good idea, especially if you're not sure how long you'll be shooting for. When it comes to longevity, the T3i is rated for 100,000 actuations. That means that you can take 100,000 photos before the shutter theoretically fails. Given the age of the camera and the fact that you're almost guaranteed to purchase it in a used state, it's good to look at how many photos the device has already taken before making the purchase. If you find it on eBay for example, look at the description for the number of actuations. If they're not stated, message the seller. If they refuse to tell you, that's probably because it's close to the maximum and you should just look elsewhere. In terms of weather sealing, it basically has none. The Rebel series just isn't designed to be used in harsh conditions. Getting water inside of it, or dust, or sand could very well break the camera, so do be careful. We've addressed vlogging a bit earlier, but let's talk a bit more broadly about the video capabilities of this camera. You can do 1080p at up to 30 frames a second, or 720p at up to 60 frames a second. Decent for the time, not great for 2020. This camera might have been okay for a video when it was first released, as autofocus was generally pretty bad across the board, but if your videos would be judged by modern standards, you'd probably be wishing for better AF. Autofocus can also be noisy when filming. If you're shooting B-roll, this won't be a problem as the sound won't matter, but if shooting an interview for example and you're using the built-in audio or even a microphone on top of the camera, you might run into trouble. If you're using an external mic to record the interview, which you should be doing, this may not be an issue, depending on the acoustic properties of the space you're filming in, but if not, you might be better off using manual focus. Plus, I'm not sure I'd trust this camera for interviews, as people tend to move around, so unless you're willing to focus manually, I'd look at something else. The T3i is compatible with EF and EFS lenses, which means that you have almost an inexhaustible list of glass you can use with it, not only from Canon but from third-party manufacturers as well. Given that it's an entry-level camera though, you'll probably stick with the basics, like either the 18-55mm kit lens, maybe a Canon 50mm f1.4, or possibly even a Canon 75-300mm lens. I have reviewed all of those lenses on my channel by the way, wink wink, link down below. And now, for the conclusion. Should you buy the Canon 600D? If you're looking for your first camera and you want to learn on it, I'd say go for it. You can easily take great photos with it if you know what you're doing, and the only way to know what you're doing is by practicing. I'd stay away if you want to do anything more than basic video, but for photos, it's still a great option, generating raw files that are rich with detail and thus allowing you to practice working in post-production as well. For anything else, I'd stay away, and I'd instead watch my reviews of the Canon 250D or Canon 77D. as both cameras are somewhat higher end but still affordable, especially the 7070D. Do you have any questions? Feel free to leave a comment down below and I'll do my best to get back to you. If you'd like to purchase any of the items I've mentioned in this video, or see how much they cost in your country, I have a link down below where you can view them. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe and hit that bell, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.